Hey guys, I'm back and it's time to dig back into one of David Lynch's more popular films, Mulholland Drive. And since the film is one of his more strange and confusing films, I find the best way to talk about it is with a scripted review. So, with all that said, let's dig in. Mulholland Drive is the ninth film from director David Lynch and stars Naomi Watts, Laura Elena Herring, and Justin Theroux, and is the story of Betty, an aspiring young actress who comes to Hollywood in hopes of becoming a big star. She befriends a woman going by the name of Rita, who after a car crash has lost her memory. Betty tries to help Rita figure out who she is, all while she tries to get a part in a new film. Now, just from that summary, you might think that Mulholland Drive would be a simple film to decipher, but David Lynch's film is far from simple. But it's not as hard to decipher as I originally thought when viewing for the first time. The setup for the film is fairly straightforward. In fact, so is most of the film. But it's not until we get about 2/3 through the movie that we get an abundance of very Lynchian concepts. The film can easily be split into two parts, and that's because the first 2/3 of the movie are a dream, while the last third is reality. Or, that's the theory at least. David Lynch himself has given no answers to the meaning behind his film, so this idea comes from guesswork as well as clues littered throughout the film. It's probably at this point that I'll have to go into spoilers because I feel like you can't talk about Mulholland Drive without doing so. The first half of the film deals with Betty and Rita as the two grow a bond of friendship as well as figure out what happened to Rita while Betty's preparing for a movie role. But 2/3 of the way through the film, the movie takes a shift. The characters we've been with for nearly an hour and a half are now gone. The actors are the same, but their roles have changed. Betty, once a naive, young, aspiring actress, is now Diane, a washed-up actress that has hit rock bottom, while Rita has become a glamorous movie star named Camilla, whom Diane envies because of how successful she is. I didn't exactly think much of this while watching the film, but after watching it and discussing it with my best friend afterwards, we seem to see that the film is split into two parts. If the first part of the film is the dream, which happens to be the most happy and uplifting part of the film, it would seem that David Lynch is trying to show us that the Hollywood dream of becoming a big star is just that, a dream. While the second half shows the reality of it. It depicts Hollywood as a dark, depressing place filled with washed-up movie stars that just can't make it. Diane, Naomi Watts' character, is a victim of this, while her character Betty is the exact opposite. I really like what David Lynch was doing here in the film, revealing the darker side of Hollywood that we don't want to focus on, which is the reality, while what we want is the dream. I say Diane came to Hollywood in the same manner her dream version of herself, Betty, came. Optimistic of the Hollywood landscape, ready to be a star, but soon the reality sunk in and here she is. It's great commentary, but it's not without its problems. When David Lynch first started Mulholland Drive, it began as the pilot of a TV series. But after it wasn't picked up by anyone, Lynch went back and added to the pilot, making it a feature film. I feel that most of the stuff added is the second half of the film, the reality portion, and this is where my problems for the film come in. For me, the reality section of the film comes too late into the film. By the time it comes around, the movie is already in its third act, and because of this, it feels more tacked on than something organic to the film. You can see the same thing happening in Twin Peaks' international pilot. In this version, Agent Cooper solves the Laura Palmer case, making everything feel rushed and making a pretty unsatisfying ending. I have the same problem when it comes to Mulholland Drive. The last part feels rushed in comparison to the rest of the film. Perhaps if this switch happened halfway through the film, many of my problems would be solved. But as it stands, it feels rushed and lessens the impact for me a little. I like what David Lynch was doing, but to me it feels like something that would have happened across several seasons. In fact, I say that was the ultimate end goal. If Mulholland Drive had become a series like David Lynch had intended, I feel like it would have been more straightforward with much of its storytelling, as well as show exactly what David Lynch shows in this film. If I had to guess, the series would have followed Betty as she rises to become a huge movie star, but soon her career at some point would take a huge nosedive and she would realize that the Hollywood dream isn't real. Those are just my thoughts on that, but I feel it would have fixed many of the problems I have with Mulholland Drive as a film. Other problems I have with the film are often tied to the same thing I've been talking about, which is it was a pilot before it was a feature film, and so the film feels like a lot of setup with scenes feeling like they will eventually go somewhere, but they never do. Wow. Whew. Okay, that was more of a tangent than I wanted. If you're still with me, let me get into the stuff I liked about the film. First off, Naomi Watts is fantastic. She has an innocence to her that is very infectious, and it makes her very likable. It's very interesting that this is the film that spawned her career, seeing as it deals with Hollywood and becoming a star. However, the one that steals the show for me has to be Laura Elena Herring as Rita. She is able to be so sympathetic and just looks so helpless that you just want to reach into the screen and help her. Her performance is incredible. In fact, both ladies do a commendable job with some very tough material. Another standout is Justin Theroux as the movie director Adam. He has a lot of good comedic bits in the film, one including Billy Ray Cyrus. In fact, that's another thing I love with David Lynch. His films can be very dark, but he seems to really nail it when it comes to comedy. The comedic scenes in the film are really funny, such as when Adam returns home to find his wife sleeping with the pool guy, which ends up being Billy Ray Cyrus. It's really funny stuff. My favorite part of the entire film, though, occurs during the transition between the dream and reality. About 2/3 through the movie, Betty and Rita visit the old theater called Club Silencio, a place where, as the announcer says, is all an illusion. The best part, though, happens when singer Rebecca Del Rio comes on stage singing a Spanish rendition of Roy Orbison's song, Crying. This part of the film gave me literal chills and was just perfect. If I could rate a scene, this would easily get a 10 out of 10. But the heartbreaking part comes when the singer collapses, either dying or passing out, and her voice continues to sing because it's just a recording of her voice. Because, as the announcer said, everything is an illusion. Guys, Mulholland Drive is a really good film, but because of the problems I stated before, I can't bring myself to say I loved it. But I will say I'm looking forward to seeing it again, because it definitely is one of those films I think you need to watch more than once to really understand. And who knows, maybe I'll like it even more. But as it stands, I give Mulholland Drive a 7 out of 10. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I know it's been a while since I last reviewed something, but I'll be reviewing movies regularly soon enough. I really like doing these scripted reviews, honestly, because it helps in gathering all my thoughts, and I feel like Mulholland Drive was the perfect film to do this with. So, Look forward to my new reviews coming soon, as well as my review of David Lynch's final film, Inland Empire, coming soon. Anyway, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.